Put the gun down, Mr. Mercer, or your daughter dies in 3 minutes. Ethan Mercer froze in his own doorway. His 17-year-old was bleeding out on the kitchen counter. His 12-year-old was holding a flashlight with shaking hands. And his 6-year-old silent for 3 years since her mother's funeral was whispering for the first time. Standing over them holding a surgical needle like a soldier holds a rifle was the quiet housekeeper he had hired 6 months ago to dust his shelves. He raised his gun. She didn't even look up. And in that single moment, a father who had built an empire to protect his family realized he had been protecting the wrong thing all along. If you're a father, a mother, or a grandparent who knows that love is the only fortress that ever really protects a child, please subscribe, hit the like button, and comment the city you're watching from tonight. I want to see how far this story travels before sunrise. Stay with me to the very last word, because what Ethan Mercer is about to discover inside his own home will break something 22 years of money and power never could. Put the gun down, Mr. Mercer, or your daughter dies in 3 minutes. Ethan Mercer had heard a lot of voices in 51 years on this earth. He had heard his mother's voice reading him bedtime stories in a 2-bedroom apartment in Queens when he was 7. He had heard his wife Catherine's voice saying, "I do" in a church in Boston 26 years ago. He had heard that same voice 3 years later whisper, "We're pregnant," across a kitchen table in their first apartment. And he had heard that voice for the last time on a Tuesday afternoon in October in a hospital room that smelled like antiseptic and expensive flowers, saying 6 words he would carry with him for the rest of his life. "Don't let the girls forget me." He thought he had heard every kind of voice a woman could make. He was wrong. Because the voice that was coming out of Rachel Walker's mouth right now in his own kitchen at 11:47 on a Tuesday night in Chicago was a voice Ethan Mercer had never heard in his entire life. It was the voice of a woman who was not afraid of his gun. "I said, step away from my daughter. And I said, put the gun down." She did not look up. She did not raise her voice. She did not even stop what she was doing. Her left hand was on Ava's shoulder, holding her down against the marble of the kitchen island, and her right hand was guiding a curved surgical needle through a 3-inch laceration along his daughter's ribs. The thread behind the needle was black and wet. The marble underneath was not white anymore. It was the color of a slaughterhouse floor. "Miss Walker." Ethan's voice came out rough. Something inside his throat had torn in a warehouse outside Tijuana 6 hours ago, and it had not stopped bleeding. "I am going to count to 3. Count to whatever number you want. If I stop stitching, she dies. Your call." 1. "Mr. Mercer?" 2. Rachel finally raised her eyes. They were pale gray, the gray of cold rain on a January morning, and there was nothing behind them, nothing at all. No fear, no anger, no surprise, just the flat-tired patience of a woman who had watched a lot of men count to 3 in her life and had watched what happened to every one of them and had stopped being impressed somewhere around the 4th one. "If you shoot me," she said at the end, "your daughter bleeds out on this counter in 90 seconds. Your 12-year-old watches it happen. Your 6-year-old, who just said her first words in 3 years 40 seconds before you kick the door open, never speaks again. And you, Mr. Mercer, spend the rest of your life knowing you pulled the trigger that killed her." A beat. 3 is not a good number, Mr. Mercer. Pick a different one." Ethan's gun hand dropped 2 inches. He had not decided to lower it. His arm simply gave up. "Daddy," the voice came from the floor. Tiny, shaking, Lily. His middle daughter, 12 years old, was sitting on the kitchen tile with her back against the cabinet. She was hugging her knees with one arm. With the other, she was holding a flashlight up at her sister's ribcage elbow, locked wrist straight. She was trying so hard not to let the beam shake that Ethan could see the cords of her jaw grinding together under her skin. "Daddy, please don't shoot her. Please, Rachel's helping Ava. Rachel's helping. Please, Daddy." Ethan's mouth opened. Nothing came out. "Rachel said you'd come home and see the blood and get scared." Lily's voice was flat, emptied out. The voice of a child who had already used up all her crying an hour ago and was running on whatever was underneath. "She said to tell you not to be scared. She said to tell you we're okay. Baby. She said not to be scared, Daddy. Lily, honey." She said. Something inside Ethan Mercer's chest made a sound, not an audible sound, a sound only he could hear. It was the sound of a door he had slammed shut on the afternoon of Catherine's funeral 3 years ago, finally coming off its hinges. He lowered the gun all the way. He set it down on the granite countertop, careful, gentle, the way a man sets down something that has betrayed him. Grip facing him, barrel facing the wall. "Tell me what you need," he said. "I need you to shut up and let me work. Tell me what you need to save her." Rachel tied off a stitch. Clean motion. Surgeon's motion. "Clean towels, as many as you can carry. Hot water in a bowl, the big mixing bowl, not the pasta pot. The blue duffel bag in the coat closet, second shelf behind the winter coats. Yes, I put it there. Yes, we will talk about it later." Move. Ethan moved. He had not taken an order from another human being since he was 24 years old. He had bought his first company at 26, his second at 29. By 35, Mercer Holdings had offices in 12 countries. By 40, there were United States senators who returned his phone calls within the hour. By 50, there was a magazine his mother had kept in her kitchen drawer until the day she died, with his face on the cover and the words Entrepreneur of the Year underneath. He did not take orders. He gave them. But he walked at 11:49 on a Tuesday night to the coat closet in his own house, and he pulled open the door, and behind his 3 wool overcoats in the camel hair Catherine had bought him for Christmas the year before she died, there was a blue tactical duffel bag that had not been there this morning. He knew the weight of a combat kit when he felt one. He had carried enough of them out of Colombia in 1997. He brought it back to the kitchen. Rachel was already working on it before he set it down. A tourniquet, a pack of IV saline, a sealed cold pack with a bag of O-negative blood inside, surgical scissors that looked like they had come straight out of an operating tent in Kandahar. "You have blood in my house," Ethan said. "Yes." "You have, is that a portable defibrillator?" "Yes." "In my coat closet, behind my dead wife's camel hair coat." "Correct." "Who are you, Rachel?" She hooked up the IV line, taped it to the in-mod of Ava's elbow, adjusted the flow rate, did not look at him. "Right now, the person's saving your daughter's life. Later, we will see what's left of later." Ava was talking now, not much, short sentences. Each one of them cost her something. But she was talking. "Dad? I'm here, baby. Dad, I tried to call you. I know, honey, I know. 3 times. I know." Rachel answered. She came up the stairs, Dad. There was a man in my room." Ethan's hand tightened on her ankle where he was holding it. "A man was in your room. He had a bag, Dad. He was trying to put me in it. Rachel pulled him off me. Rachel, she hit him. Dad, she hit him, and he stopped moving, and she told me to run. And I ran, but I fell down the stairs, and I couldn't breathe. I thought, you are not dying. You are not dying. Look at me. Look at your dad. Ava, look at me." Rachel said that too. Rachel is right. Rachel is right, baby. Rachel is always right. And Ava Mercer, 17 years old, honors student, Stanford-bound captain of her debate team, a girl who had not called her father daddy since she was 9. When Ava Mercer started to cry, not the sharp crying of pain, the long, shuddering breakdown, crying of a child who has been holding it together for 1 hour too long. "I want Mom." Ethan closed his eyes. "I know, baby. I want Mom. I want Mom. I want Mom. Daddy, please. I want Mom." "I know, baby. I know." He could not say anything else. He did not trust himself. He just held his daughter's ankle, and he pressed his forehead against her knee, and he said nothing, because nothing was the only thing he had left that wasn't a lie. From the corner of the kitchen, very small, "It's okay, Ava." Rachel said, "It's okay." Ethan's head came up slowly. Emily, 6 years old, silent since her mother's funeral 37 months ago. 4 child psychiatrists, 2 specialists in selective mutism, 1 very expensive residential program in Zurich last summer that Ethan had flown her to for 3 weeks and had not in the end heard a single word come out of her mouth. Not one, in 37 months. And now she was standing in the corner of his kitchen, holding a roll of gauze in both hands like it was a stuffed animal, and she was talking. "Rachel said you're going to be okay. Rachel said she won't let the bad men come back. Rachel said if we're scared, we just hold her hand." Ethan turned very slowly. "Emily." The little girl looked at him. She did not run to him. She did not smile. She looked at him the way a cat looks at a stranger, who has come to the back door, calm, assessing, unafraid, but not particularly interested. And she said in a voice he had heard in his dreams for 3 years and had begun last month to believe he would never hear again. "Hi, Daddy?" 2 words, "Hi, Daddy." The first 2 words his youngest daughter had spoken out loud since the day they had lowered a casket into the ground at Mount Auburn Cemetery. And they had not been for him. They had been a greeting. A polite one, the kind a child gives to a neighbor at the mailbox. Ethan Mercer, 51 years old, net worth somewhere north of $200 million, a man who had once negotiated a $700 million acquisition in Frankfurt without breaking a sweat. Ethan Mercer put his forehead against the side of the kitchen island, and for the first time in 3 years, he tried very hard not to cry in front of his children. He did not entirely succeed. "When," he whispered, "when did she start talking?" 6 weeks ago, Rachel said. 6 weeks. She whispered one word in her sleep. I heard it on the monitor. The next night, 2 words. The next night, a sentence. "I did not tell you because I did not know if it would last, and I did not want you to pressure her. 6 weeks ago, she started speaking and you did not tell me. You were in Singapore, and then Dubai, and then Sao Paulo, and then Mexico for the last 10 days. Rachel's voice did not carry a single ounce of judgment. It was flatter than judgment. It was fact. "When exactly should I have called, Mr. Mercer? During your board meeting on Thursday? During your cocktail reception in Mexico City on Saturday? I made a call. I will defend it. I will not apologize for it." She tied off the bandage. She started speaking because she stopped being afraid, "Mr. Mercer, if you want the long version, we can have it in the morning." A pause. "If we are alive in the morning." The last sentence hit the kitchen like a hammer hitting a window. "What did you just say?" "I said if we are alive in the morning, which brings me to the next problem." She pulled a phone out of her back pocket. Not the cheap pink one Ethan had seen her call her sister in Ohio with. A different phone, thinner, black. The screen had a grid on it that looked like a military radar display. She turned it so he could see. There were 3 red dots on the grid. 3, moving up his driveway. "They came back," she said. "They brought friends." Bam! Ethan looked at Ava. Ava was pale. Her lips were bluish. He looked at Lily. Lily was staring at the phone and her mouth was open and she was making fast, short breaths, one after another, too fast. He looked at Emily. Emily had walked over and taken Rachel's free hand. "Rachel," Emily whispered, "are the bad men coming back?" "Yes, sweetheart." "Are you going to stop them?" "Yes, sweetheart. Promise." Rachel looked down at the 6-year-old, and for one single second, one heartbeat, one blink, Ethan Mercer saw the woman underneath the housekeeper, the woman underneath the cardigan, the woman underneath the pot roast on Sunday, and the paperback mystery at lunchtime, and the 6 months of yes, sir, and no, sir, and the head always down. He saw her. And what he saw was something he had only seen 3 times before in his life, and all 3 of those times had been in places where men with guns went to die. "I promise," Rachel said. "Now let go of my hand, honey. I need both of them for the next part." "Mr. Mercer." "Yes." "You have a gun on the counter. I am going to assume you have a spare in the car. Do you have any other weapons in this house you have not told me about?" "There is a pistol in the safe in my office, a shotgun in the closet of the master bedroom." "Combinations." "What?" "Safe combinations. Give them to me." "You want me to?" "Mr. Mercer, 3 armed men just turned onto your driveway. 2 of them are the men from earlier. The 3rd is somebody I do not recognize from my surveillance, which means he is either very new or very senior. I am going to guess very senior. You have 90 seconds to decide whether you trust me or whether you want to die on principle. Combinations." He gave her the combinations. She repeated them once, got them right, nodded. "Lily." "Yeah." Tiny voice. "Do you remember what I showed you in the pantry 2 months ago?" Lily nodded, her head bobbed up and down like a toy on a spring. "Go, take Emily, lock the door behind you. Do not come out until I come get you. Do you understand me?" "Yes." "Repeat it." "Go to the pantry, take Emily, lock the door. Don't come out till you come get me." "Good girl, go now." Lily grabbed Emily's hand. They went through the kitchen door and down the hallway. A door closed. A latch clicked. Another latch clicked. Ethan stared at Rachel. "You trained my children." "I taught them where to hide." You built a panic room in my pantry. Steel core door, satellite phone. I built it over 3 weekends while you were in London. Ava. Bubba's eyes opened. Barely. Ava, I need you to stay awake. You cannot sleep. Can you squeeze my hand? Ava squeezed. Good girl. Mr. Mercer, your turn. Pick up your gun. Ethan picked up his gun. Safety. Off. Behind that pillar. Not this side, that side. When they come through the back door, they will come in two-man cover. The first one goes left. The second sweeps right. The third holds the doorway. You shoot the second one. I shoot the first and the third. Do not shoot the first one. If you shoot the first one, you shoot me. Are we clear, Rachel? Are we clear, Mr. Mercer? Who sent you to my house? She looked at him. For 1 second. 1 second in a kitchen that smelled like iron and iodine, and a little girl's first words in 3 years. Nobody sent me, she said. I came on my own, and if we live through tonight, I will tell you why. But not before. Rachel. Behind the pillar, Mr. Mercer. He went behind the pillar. From the hallway came the small, polite sound of a back door being tested from the outside. Once, twice, 3 times. The knob turned, and Rachel Walker, the quiet housekeeper Ethan Mercer had hired 6 months ago, the one who made pot roast on Sundays and read paperback mysteries at lunch, the one who said yes, sir, and no, sir, and kept her head down. Rachel Walker raised a pistol in a two-handed grip, steadied her breathing, and waited. And somewhere behind a pantry door made of steel, a 12-year-old girl was holding her 6-year-old sister against her chest in the dark and whispering the same 3 words their mother used to whisper at bedtime, over and over and over. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. The back door opened. The back door opened 3 inches, and Rachel Walker did not breathe. Ethan Mercer behind the pillar did not breathe either. His ribs were screaming. His hand on the grip of the pistol was slick. He had not held a gun in a firefight in 26 years. He had forgotten how heavy one got after 2 full minutes of waiting. The door opened another 3 inches. A boot came through. Black. Tactical tread. The kind of boot Ethan's own security detail wore. His stomach turned over. Rachel's left hand came up. 1 finger, then 2. Then she dropped her hand into a fist, and the first man came through the door in a low crouch, and she put 2 rounds through the top of his skull before his second foot crossed the threshold. The sound was not loud. Suppressor. She had a suppressor on that pistol. Ethan had not even seen her screw it on. The second man came through half a second behind the first sweeping right, exactly the way Rachel had said he would, and Ethan, who had not fired a weapon at another human being since 1998, who ran a logistics company, who sat on the board of the Art Institute, who took his daughter to a Taylor Swift concert in July. Ethan Mercer squeezed the trigger twice, and the second man went down sideways into the pantry door with a hole in his throat and a hole in his chest. The third man did not come through the doorway. The third man was smarter than that. The third man put 3 rounds through the drywall of the kitchen at chest height in a sweeping arc because he knew somebody was behind the pillar, and he knew the pillar was not going to cover them all the way. Ethan felt the second round go past his face. He felt it, the heat of it on his cheekbone. He went down on 1 knee behind the pillar, and he heard Rachel move. Not saw heard, because she moved, the way somebody moves in a house they have measured, and then he heard a single round, 1 round, and then the very small sound of a body dropping against the doorframe. Silence. Clear, Rachel said, quietly. Not a shout, just a word. Ethan could not stand up. His legs would not hold him. His right hand was shaking so hard the pistol was rattling against the pillar. He heard Rachel cross the kitchen. He heard her check the first man, then the second. Then she walked past him, past the pillar, past Ava on the counter, and she checked the third man in the doorway. 3 down, she said. No movement, no comms active on any of them. That's the first wave. There's a second one. They'll hold off for 4 minutes to see if the first team reports in. When they don't, they're coming. Ethan heard himself say, Ava. She's conscious. Bleeding stopped. She's good for another 20 minutes. Get up, Mr. Mercer. Get up. He got up. His right hand was still shaking. Rachel saw it. She did not say anything about it. She reached under the counter, pulled out a roll of paper towels, and handed it to him without looking at his face. Wipe your hands. Wipe the grip. You're going to drop that pistol if you don't. He wiped his hands. He wiped the grip. I killed a man, he said. You killed a man who came into your house to kill your children. I killed a man. Mr. Mercer, look at me. He looked at her. You will feel what you need to feel about that tomorrow. Not tonight. Tonight you have 2 more daughters in a pantry and a 3rd daughter on a countertop and a 2nd team of professionals that is going to come through that door in about 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Do you understand me? Yes. Say it again. Yes, I understand. Good, move. They moved. Rachel crossed to the counter and she put her hand on Ava's cheek and Ava's eyes came open and she whispered, am I still okay? You're still okay, baby. You are still okay. I need you to do one more thing for me. Can you do one more thing for me? Yeah. I'm going to lift you. It's going to hurt. I need you not to scream. Can you bite down on this? She put a folded kitchen towel between Ava's teeth. On 3, 1, 2, Ava made a sound that was not a scream, but was not nothing, and Rachel lifted her off the counter in a fireman's carry that a woman of her size should not have been able to do. She did not grunt. She did not stagger. She shifted Ava's weight onto her left shoulder and pulled a 2nd pistol from somewhere Ethan did not see and walked toward the hallway. Pantry, she said, now. Ethan followed. Ethan. He was still bleeding from somewhere. He was still holding a gun. He did not look at the 3 bodies on the kitchen floor. He did not look at the blood on the walls. He walked behind a woman he had hired to fold his daughter's laundry, and he followed her down the hallway of his own house, and he thought with a clarity he had not felt in 6 hours or in 6 years, I have not been the man in charge of this family for a very long time. Rachel knocked on the pantry door. 3 taps. Pause. 2 taps. The door unlatched. Lily's face came through the crack. Her eyes were red. Her hands were still shaking. Emily was clinging to her leg. Is she okay? Is Ava okay, Dad? Dad, is Ava okay? She's okay, honey. Move back. Move all the way back. Rachel carried Ava inside. Ethan followed. The pantry Maria used for canned tomatoes and pasta and breakfast cereal had a steel core door on the inside of the wooden one. There was a bench. There was a shelf with bottles of water. There was a satellite phone mounted to the wall. There was a narrow vent near the ceiling that Ethan had walked past every single morning for 4 years and had never once looked at. Rachel laid Ava down on the bench. She put a folded blanket under her head. She adjusted the IV. She took Lily's face in her hands and she looked her in the eye. Lily, listen to me. Okay. I need you to be the big sister right now, not the middle sister, the big sister. Do you understand what I'm asking? Lily nodded. Emily is going to be scared. You are going to hold her. You are going to talk to her. If Ava starts bleeding again, there is a red bag on that shelf. You press the gauze on the bandage. You do not lift it up to look. You press down and you hold. Can you do that? Yes. Say it. I can do that. Good. Rachel kissed the top of Lily's head. Fast. A flash of tenderness that was gone before Ethan fully registered it. The satellite phone has 1 number programmed, speed dial 1. If I am not back in 20 minutes, you press that button and you say these words exactly. Walker code black 3 minors. Say it back to me. Walker code black 3 minors. Again. Walker code black 3 minors. Good girl. Ethan stood in the doorway and he watched this 12-year-old. His 12-year-old, the kid who still slept with a stuffed elephant named Potato, repeat a code phrase back to a woman he had paid $3,000 a month to vacuum his hallways. His mouth was dry. Rachel. Not now. Rachel, who answers that phone. Not now, Mr. Mercer. Rachel. She turned on him, finally, with her eyes. With her. The kind of people who answer a phone like that, Mr. Mercer, are the kind of people who can have a helicopter on your roof in 11 minutes. Are you happy? Get out of the pantry. I need to seal the door. He got out of the pantry. She sealed the door. There was a second lock, a heavy bar that slid across from the outside. She dropped it. It clicked into a steel bracket that had been bolted into the wall. Ethan stared at it. You drilled into the wall of my house. I reinforced the wall of your house. I will send you a bill. Move. So they went back to the kitchen. Rachel was reloading. Ethan watched her do it. She dropped a magazine out of the butt of the pistol, slid a fresh one in, racked the slide, cleared the chamber, checked it, and slid the first magazine, still half full, back into a pouch on her hip that he was now realizing she had been wearing under her cardigan the entire night. "Tell me about Marcus," she said. "What Marcus Vance? Your head of security? Tell me about him." I've known him 11 years. He was military, Army Ranger. He saved my daughter's life in a hotel fire in Madrid. "I know the Madrid story, Ava told me. Tell me something nobody else knows." Ethan's mouth opened, and for 1 second, nothing came out. He realized something standing in his own kitchen with 3 dead men on the floor and his daughter in a pantry with a gunshot's worth of stitches in her side. He realized he did not know a single thing about Marcus Vance that he had not been told by Marcus Vance. He never talked about his family. He said his parents were dead. He has a sister in Phoenix, I think. He does not have a sister in Phoenix. What? He has an ex-wife in Phoenix and a daughter who is almost 10 years old and who he has not seen in 4 years because of a custody order. The daughter is named Caitlin. She is in 3rd grade. Marcus has been wiring $12,000 a month to an account in Arizona for her entire life. Ethan stared at her. "How do you know that?" "Because I looked. Because I look at everybody who works in this house." "You investigated my head of security." "Yes." "On whose authority?" "My own." Ethan took a step toward her. "Miss Walker, I have spent my entire adult life in one line of work or another where discretion was the most important quality a person could have, and I would like to tell you right now that you are the single most terrifying employee I have ever had, and if any of us live through tonight, I am going to need Mr. Mercer." "What?" "2 vehicles just turned onto your driveway. I see headlights. 30 seconds. His head snapped toward the window. "I thought you said 4 minutes." "I was wrong. They didn't wait for the first team." "Rachel, they're scared. Whoever sent them is scared. They are escalating faster than they planned to, which means they have a timeline, which means somebody higher up just gave them a deadline." She was moving while she was talking, a chair shoved against a door, a drawer yanked open, a can of something pulled from a shelf and rolled across the floor to the far corner of the kitchen. "Get low, left side of the island, not the pillar, the island. The pillar has drywall behind it. The island is solid stone. Stay down until I tell you to move." "How many?" 6, maybe 7. I can't tell from the headlights." 7. "Get down." He got down. He crouched behind the island, pistol in his right hand, spare magazine in his left, and he thought about Catherine. He thought about Catherine for the first time in about 7 hours, which was, he realized, the longest he had gone without thinking about her since the day she died. "I'm sorry, Cat. I'm sorry I wasn't here. I'm sorry I'm never here. I'm going to fix it. If we live, I swear to God, if we live, I'm going to fix it." Outside, 2 car doors closed, then 2 more, then 2 more, 6. The first breach came not through the back door, but through the window of the sunroom. It came loud. Glass first, then a flashbang, which Rachel had warned him about in a low whisper. Flashbang. Close your eyes, cover your ears. And Ethan did exactly what she said, and the world went white and deaf for 3 seconds and then came back in pieces. He heard shouting in Spanish. He heard Rachel shoot once, twice, a third time. Each shot was spaced perfectly, a breath and a half between them, and after the third shot there was silence from the sunroom. 3 down, 3 to go. Back door move. Ethan moved. He crossed the kitchen low, staying behind the island, and he got to the back door just as it opened, and he put 2 rounds into the chest of a man who was reaching for his belt. The man fell backward onto the porch. Ethan kicked the door shut behind him. "Ethan?" It was the first time she had ever used his first name. "What?" "Behind you." He turned. Marcus Vance was standing in the hallway. Marcus Vance, with his salt and pepper beard and his leather jacket and the gold cross that Ethan had watched him kiss before every business trip for 11 years, was standing in the hallway of Ethan's house, holding a pistol that was pointed directly at Ethan's chest. "Hey, boss." Ethan did not move. He could not move. "Marcus, put the gun down, Ethan. We don't have to do it this way." "Marcus?" "It was never supposed to be the girls. I swear to God. It was supposed to be you. Just you in Tijuana. They were supposed to handle it in Tijuana. When it didn't work, Ethan, when it didn't work, they had to come here. You understand, they had to. You let them into my house. I had to. My children were in this house. I know. My 12-year-old was in this house, my 6-year-old. You held Emily on your shoulders at her 5th birthday party. Marcus's jaw was working. Ethan could see it working. His eyes were wet. Put the gun down, boss. Please. I don't want to do this. I got a kid. You know I got a kid. They found her. They know where she goes to school. Ethan, they have a picture of her on her bike. I've had it for 2 weeks. Put the gun down. Ethan's hand tightened on the grip. They threatened Caitlin. Yeah. So you sold me. So you sold my daughters to save yours. I didn't, Ethan. I didn't know it was going to be tonight. They told me you weren't coming home till Thursday. They told me it was going to be a break-in, make it look like a burglary, take Ava for leverage trade, her back for trade my daughter. I didn't have a choice. Everybody has a choice. Not when it's your kid, Ethan, you know. It's not when it's your kid, you know. Rachel's voice came from the kitchen, very calm, very quiet. Marcus. He did not turn his head. He did not take his eyes off Ethan. Stay out of it, housekeeper. Marcus, look at me. I said stay. Marcus, drop the weapon. I'm not going to ask a second time. There was a pause, a beat. Marcus's eyes flicked. Just once, just to the side. Just enough to see her out of the corner of his vision. And in that one flicker, Ethan saw Marcus recognize her. Really recognize her. Not as the housekeeper, not as the cardigan, not as the Sunday pot roast. Marcus's face did something Ethan had never seen it do before. It went white. No, Marcus's voice cracked. No. They said you were dead. They said you were in the ground in Kandahar. They said they were wrong. Walker. Drop the weapon, Marcus. Walker. Ethan did not know what was happening. He did not know who Walker was, or what Kandahar had to do with anything, or why Marcus Vance, a man who had stared down a burning hotel in Madrid without flinching, was looking at his housekeeper the way a man looks at a ghost. But he saw Marcus's hand shake, just a little. And Rachel Walker, standing in the kitchen doorway with her hair half out of its ponytail and a smear of Ethan's daughter's blood across her cheekbone, said the only thing Ethan Mercer would ever remember her saying for the rest of his life. You were at my wedding, Marcus. You gave a toast. You cried. Do you remember? Do you remember my husband's name? Marcus's lips parted. Walker. Say his name. Walker, please. Say his name, Marcus. A long, terrible pause. Daniel, Marcus whispered. And do you remember what happened to him in Kandahar? Please. Do you remember who gave the order? Please, drop the weapon. Or I will put one round through your shoulder and one through your knee, and I will keep you alive long enough to tell me every single name. Drop it, Marcus. Last time. Marcus dropped the gun. It hit the hallway floor with a sound that Ethan would hear in his dreams for the rest of his natural life. Marcus Vance, a man Ethan had trusted with his own life, a man Ethan had trusted with his children's lives, sank to his knees in the hallway of Ethan's house and started to cry. They made me, my baby girl, Walker. They got a picture of her on her bike. I know. I swear to God, I did not know it was going to be tonight. I did not know you're the girls. I didn't. I believe you. Put your hands behind your head. Lock your fingers. Do not move them. He put his hands behind his head. Rachel crossed the hallway. She picked up his weapon. She ejected the magazine. She cleared the chamber. She did it all in about 3 seconds. Then she looked at Ethan. There is still one man unaccounted for. He is in the house, somewhere, probably upstairs. Upstairs is bedrooms. Upstairs is... Ethan's blood went cold. Upstairs is where the girls' rooms are. The girls are in the pantry. The girls are safe. The phone. Rachel, the satellite phone. If he cuts the antenna is on the roof. And somebody is upstairs. Rachel. For the first time that night, the first time in 3 hours of gunfire and surgery and blood on a 6-year-old's hands, Rachel Walker hesitated. It was only a fraction of a second, but Ethan saw it. She turned her head toward the staircase. And from the top of the stairs, from somewhere in the dark of the second floor, A man's voice, slow, easy, amused, said, "Hello, Rachel. It's been a long time." Rachel's pistol came up. Her finger went white on the trigger. And for the first time since he had walked through the front door with blood on his coat, Ethan Mercer saw Rachel Walker's face change. He saw her face go slack. He saw her eyes go wide. He saw her mouth open just slightly, the way a person's mouth opens when they have been hit in the stomach and cannot yet breathe. "No," she whispered. And then louder, with a crack in her voice, Ethan had not known she was capable of no. From the top of the stairs, the man laughed, softly. "Oh, honey, did you really think I was going to stay dead? Oh, honey, did you really think I was going to stay dead?" Rachel did not answer. Ethan watched her. He watched her pistol, still raised, still pointed at the top of the stairs, and he watched her finger on the trigger, and he watched the way her shoulders had gone so tight that the tendons on the side of her neck were standing out like wire. He had never, in 6 months of living in the same house with this woman, seen her react to anything. Not a broken plate, not a gas bill she was sorting, not even the 3 dead men she had just put on his kitchen floor. She was reacting now. Marcus Vance, still on his knees in the hallway with his fingers locked behind his head, was staring at Rachel with an expression that Ethan did not know how to read. It was not the expression of a man who was afraid of being shot. It was the expression of a man watching something he had been told about in a bar once years ago and had never believed. "Walker," Marcus whispered. "Walker, if that's him, if that is actually him." "Shut up, Marcus." "Walker, shut up." At the top of the stairs, the man laughed again. The same soft laugh, the laugh of a person who had all the time in the world and who was enjoying himself. "You look good, Rach. A little tired. The civilian life suits you. Come down here." "I don't think so." "Come down here, Kane." Ethan's head turned a quarter of an inch. Kane. Kane Mercer. He had read that name 90 minutes ago in the file that had been sitting on his kitchen counter. The file Rachel had pulled out of the blue duffel bag when she was setting up the Ive line. He had seen it with his own eyes, and he had not had time to ask her about it. Currently hunted by private contractor Kane Mercer. Kane Mercer, his own last name. Ethan's throat closed. "Rachel," his voice was low, flat. He did not take his eyes off the staircase. "Rachel, what is that man's last name?" She did not answer. "Rachel, not now." "Rachel, is that man related to me?" From the top of the stairs, the voice said, "Oh, she didn't tell you. That is disappointing. Rachel, that is really disappointing. I thought you respected him more than that." Ethan's finger moved off the trigger guard and onto the trigger. "Get down here." "You know, Ethan, I can call you Ethan, can't I? Given the circumstances, you and I have a lot of catching up to do. It has been what? 31 years and 32. Ethan's mouth was dry. 32 what? Since the last time you saw your big brother. The floor of the hallway tilted under Ethan Mercer's feet. He had a brother. He had had a brother. Kane Mercer, 8 years older, left for the army at 17, came back from Somalia at 26, did not come home to Queens, did not call their mother for 3 Christmases in a row, and then on a Tuesday in April of 1994 was reported killed in action on a classified operation somewhere in the Balkans. Closed casket, a folded flag. A ceremony at Arlington that their mother had flown down to alone because their father was too sick to travel. Ethan had stood next to her grave at 39 years old and thought about Kane for the first time in a decade, and he had thought, "I wish you had come home." Kane Mercer was dead. Kane Mercer had been dead for 32 years. Kane Mercer was standing at the top of his staircase. "You were at Arlington," Ethan said. His voice came out hoarse. "They buried you at Arlington. Mom cried for a year. For a year. Mom was a very kind woman, Ethan. I miss her too." You were dead." "I was reassigned. It is a different thing. You let her die thinking you were in the ground." "Ethan." Kane's voice had changed, just slightly. There was something underneath it now, something that had not been there before. "Ethan, you built a business empire for 30 years while I was alive. You never once called your big brother to come work for you. Did you? Not once, so forgive me if I do not feel particularly sentimental about Mom's funeral right now." Rachel's pistol was still up. Her hand was steady again. Whatever had shaken her at the first sound of his voice had passed through her like a fever. "Kane, come down the stairs. Hands on your head." Rachel, sweetheart, you are not in charge here. Last time, Kane. I have a man on the roof with a rifle. I have a man in the trees with a rifle. There is a laser sight on the back of Ethan's neck right this second. Ethan, would you like to check? Ethan did not check. He did not have to. He felt it. A cold, quiet point of pressure at the base of his skull. The kind of pressure you only feel when somebody has been watching you long enough to decide where to aim. Rachel, his voice was very careful. Is he telling the truth? She did not answer right away. Yes, she said, he's telling the truth. 2 snipers. I counted them on the driveway before the second team breached. I thought they were containment. I was wrong. You were wrong about a lot tonight, honey. Kane, what do you want? I want to come down the stairs and have a conversation with my baby brother in his very nice kitchen. That is all I want. Lower your weapon, Rachel, or my man puts a round through Ethan's spine and we have our conversation over his body. Rachel did not move. Ethan said very quietly, lower the weapon, Rachel. Mr. Mercer, lower it, please. She lowered it. Kane Mercer came down the stairs. He did not look like Ethan. That was the first thing Ethan thought. And it was a stupid thing to think because, of course, he did not look like Ethan. He was 8 years older. He had lived a different life. He had a scar that ran from the corner of his left eye down to his jawline and a nose that had been broken in at least 3 places. But the eyes were the same. Their mother's eyes, gray-green, hooded at the corners. Kane Mercer reached the bottom of the staircase in an expensive black overcoat and a pair of combat boots, and he smiled at his younger brother the way a man smiles at a cousin he has not seen since a family wedding. Look at you, Kane said. You got old Ethan. So did you. Different kind of old, though. Yes. Where's your wife? Ethan's jaw locked. She's dead. Catherine Wright, the Boston girl. 3 years ago. I am sorry to hear it. No, you're not. No. Kane's smile did not change. I am not, but it is the correct thing to say, and I try to say the correct things when I can. He walked past Marcus without looking at him. He walked past the body by the back door without looking at it. He stopped about 6 feet from Ethan and put his hands in his pockets. Ethan, listen to me carefully. I'm going to offer you a deal. You are going to want to accept it. I am not making a deal with a man who came to kill my children. I did not come to kill your children. I came for something else entirely, and the children were a complication. That is not the same thing. Kane, please let me finish. Kane's voice had changed again. Just for that one sentence. There was a whip in it. Ethan shut his mouth. Rachel behind him had not moved. Her weapon was at her side now, but her finger was still inside the trigger guard. Ethan could hear her breathing. She was breathing through her teeth. Thank you, Kane said. His voice went mild again. Ethan, 6 years ago you brokered a deal with a man named Arturo Salazar. Do you remember a very large shipment of medical equipment? Insulin, dialysis machines, $500 million worth of real humanitarian above-the-board goods, shipped through a port in Veracruz, insured through a company in Liechtenstein that I happen to own. Ethan's stomach turned over. I did not. That deal was clean. I walked that deal personally. I had my lawyers go through it for 6 months. Your lawyers missed a footnote, Ethan. Your lawyers missed a footnote on page 471 of Annex C. The footnote said that in the event of a default by the insuring party, a secondary party, a silent party would assume control of the collateralized assets. The collateralized assets were the port. Ethan, the collateralized assets were the port. And for 6 years, I've been a silent partner in a port in Veracruz that moves $300 million a month in goods for a cartel that you did not know you were working with. Ethan could not speak. The deal you walked out of on Tuesday, Kane continued, still mild, still quiet, was the deal to renew the paperwork, to sign the port back over to the cartel for another 5 years. You were supposed to sign, Ethan. You were not supposed to walk. And when you walked, you created a very, very serious problem for me. A problem with my business partners. A problem that, if not corrected by Friday morning, is going to cost me a great deal more than your very nice house and your very nice daughters. You did this. I corrected a problem. You sent men to my house. You sent men at my children. I sent men to bring Ava back to Veracruz so that you would sign the paperwork in exchange for her safe return. Yes, that is exactly what I did. And it would have worked, Ethan. It would have worked beautifully if a woman I killed in Kandahar 4 years ago had not turned out to be extraordinarily difficult to kill. Rachel's hand tightened on the pistol. You did not kill me, Cain. You killed my husband. I did. And you let me live because you thought I would be more useful alive than dead. I thought you would come back to work for me. I was wrong. I accept my error. But you have to admit, Rachel, of all the houses in all the cities in all the world, you walked into the kitchen of the one man in the continental United States I have been trying to find for 3 years. That is either God's sense of humor or yours. Mine. I suspected as much. Ethan's head was not working. His head was working, but not fast enough. There were too many facts coming in at once, and each one of them was a door, and each door had a room behind it that he did not have time to walk into. Rachel. His voice was very quiet. Rachel, you came to my house on purpose. Yes. You came to my house because my brother is your husband's killer. Yes. You came to my house to use me to get to him. A pause. A long pause. Yes, she said. At first. At first. Mr. Mercer, did you train my daughters to hide in the pantry because you care about them or because you needed them out of the way when my brother showed up at my house? Mr. Mercer, both. Both? Both. At first I cared about them because I needed them alive. Now I care about them because I care about them. That is the truth. You can believe it or you cannot believe it, but it is the truth. Cain laughed. Oh, this is excellent. This is so much better than I planned. Ethan, I have to tell you, this is why I stopped working with Rachel. She develops feelings. It is an operational weakness. Ethan looked at his brother. He looked at his brother for a long moment. And then he said in a voice he did not recognize, You took my big brother from me when I was 9 years old. My mother cried for a year. My father drank himself to death in 1999. And you have spent 32 years using our family name to move drugs through a port in Mexico. Medical equipment. Drugs. Medical equipment was also part of it, Ethan. I did not lie to you about that. Shut up. Ethan. I said shut up. Something in Ethan's voice made Cain's eyes narrow. Just for a second. Just the way a predator's eyes narrow when another predator has finally shown its teeth. You do not, Cain said, shut me up, Ethan. You do not have the leverage for it. I have 2 rifles on you. I have a man on your roof. I have the life of my niece upstairs and the life of... The girls are not upstairs. I am sorry. The girls are not upstairs, Cain. The girls are nowhere in this house that you can find them. Cain's head tilted, and then very slowly Cain smiled. Oh, Ethan, oh, little brother, you really think I came into this house without knowing where the pantry is? The sound Ethan made was not a word. It was not even a sentence. It was the sound a man makes when the floor drops out from under him for the second time in 10 minutes, and he realizes that the floor is not going to stop dropping. Cain, relax. I am not going to hurt them. I told you, the children are a complication. The children are not the point. I simply wanted you to understand the shape of the negotiation. If you touch them, you will what? Kill me. Cain's eyebrows went up. Ethan, little brother, you are 51 years old. You have not been in a real fight since the Clinton administration. You have put on, 20 pounds in the last 5 years. You have 3 cracked ribs right now. I can see it in the way you are standing. Rachel has 4 rounds left in her magazine, and she will use 2 of them trying to drop my second sniper before the first one drops her. You are not going to kill me. You are going to sign the paperwork I brought with me, and I am going to walk out of this house, and in 4 days a woman named Dr. Weiss will come visit Ava in her hospital bed and ensure that she makes a full recovery. And if you don't sign, the man in the trees puts a round through the vent of your pantry, and then another round, and then another round, and we find out how fast steel core construction can degrade under sustained fire. And we find out who dies first. Probably the 6-year-old, hard to say. Rachel's pistol came up. Cain did not flinch. Rachel, darling, if you shoot me, my second brings down the pantry in 40 seconds. You know this. You trained him. I will take that trade, Cain. No, you won't. Because you have spent 6 months sleeping down the hall from that pantry, and you have been the only person in that child's life who can get her to eat breakfast. You will not take that trade. Rachel's finger on the trigger did not move, but it did not squeeze. Kane turned back to Ethan and he took from the inside pocket of his overcoat a thick folder of papers. He laid it on the hallway floor between them. He took a pen from his breast pocket and he laid the pen on top of the papers. Sign Ethan, page 17, initials on every other page up to 31. Your lawyers can review it in the morning, but I would prefer your signature by midnight. Ethan looked at the folder. He looked at his brother. And then very quietly he said, tell me one thing. Anything. Did you kill Dad? Kane blinked. Excuse me. Dad, 1999. The liver failure. I always thought it was the drinking. Mom always thought it was the drinking. Was it the drinking, Kane, or was it something else? A beat. A very, very long beat. Ethan, answer the question. It was mostly the drinking. Mostly? I am not having this conversation with you in this hallway, Ethan. Mostly. Ethan's voice cracked. Somewhere behind him, down the hall, behind a steel pantry door, his youngest daughter, his 6-year-old, the child who had not spoken for 3 years until this woman, this stranger had taught her how, began to cry. Ethan heard it through the wall, very small, very high, and something inside Ethan Mercer that had been tied down for 32 years came loose. He did not shoot his brother. He did not shoot his brother because at exactly that moment, Rachel shot first. She did not shoot Kane. She shot the chandelier. The chandelier came down on top of Kane Mercer with 300 pounds of wrought iron and crystal, and Kane went down sideways under it, and Rachel was already moving. She was moving before the chandelier had finished falling. She was on Ethan, and she was pulling him through the doorway into the coat closet, and she was yanking a panel off the back wall of the coat closet that Ethan had never in his life known was there. Go, go, move. The girls have a tunnel. I built them a tunnel. Move. You built a tunnel. Move, Ethan. From the hallway through the ringing in his ears, Ethan heard his brother's voice muffled, furious, alive, shouting, "Kill her, kill her, kill her right now!" And then the first rifle round went through the wall behind them, and then the second. And Ethan Mercer, 51 years old, $200 million. 3 daughters, 1 dead wife, and 1 brother who had come back from the grave to take everything from him. Ethan Mercer followed a woman he did not know into a hole in the wall of his own house. And the last thing he heard as the panel slid shut behind them was the voice of the sniper on the roof reporting very calmly into his radio, "Pantry is breached, pantry is breached. I have a visual on the children. Pantry is breached, pantry is breached. I have a visual on the children." Ethan heard the words through the radio static and he stopped moving. He stopped dead in a tunnel that was not wide enough for 2 grown adults to pass each other, and he turned around and he grabbed the back of Rachel Walker's jacket with a fistful that had his daughter's blood still crusted in the knuckles, and he said, "They have my girls. Ethan, they have my girls. Rachel." Ethan, listen to me. Let go of me. Let go of me right now. I'm going back up there. You go back up there, you are dead in 15 seconds, and your daughters are dead in 20. Listen to me. Listen. She spun around in the dark and she grabbed him by the collar of his coat with both hands, and she pulled his forehead down against hers hard the way a coach grabs a player who is about to do something stupid in the 3rd quarter. The visual is not the same as the breach. He said he has a visual. He does not have them yet. The vent is small. He cannot fit through it. He is calling down for a drill team. We have about 4 minutes. 4 minutes. I need you to move your feet and not your mouth for the next 90 seconds, or we lose them. Do you hear me? He heard her. He did not want to hear her. He wanted to put his fist through the wall, through the earth, through his brother's face. But he heard her. "Okay," he said. Okay, move." She moved. They moved. The tunnel was not long. It could not have been because Rachel had built it in 3 weekends while he was in London, and a woman of her size could not have dug more than 30 feet of reinforced passage in 3 weekends. But it was long enough. It came out in what had once been a root cellar under the old caretaker's cottage on the west edge of the property. The cottage that Ethan had been meaning to have torn down for 4 years. The cottage that Rachel apparently had been using as an operations base since the 2nd week of her employment. She unbolted a hatch above their heads and pushed it up, and she went through first, and she dropped a pistol down to him before he was even all the way up the ladder. Take it. Your grip is going to be bad. Your hands are shaking, two-handed only. Safety is off, 6 rounds. Do not fire unless you have a target. Rachel, I know. Rachel, the girls? I am going, Ethan. I am going right now. I need you to do one thing, and then I need you to stay here, and I need you to live. I am not staying anywhere. Ethan, I am not staying anywhere while my brother is in the same house as my daughters. Don't ask me to. Do not ask me to. She looked at him. For 1 second, maybe 2. And he saw in the pale gray of her eyes something shift. Something that had been a calculation for 6 months became something else. Okay, she said very quietly. Okay, then you are with me. But you do exactly what I say, and when I say, exactly. Exactly. Phone. He handed her his phone. She pulled out a battery pack, a cable, a device the size of a cigarette lighter. 30 seconds. She handed it back. I just turned your phone into a detonator. There is a charge on the northeast gas main under the patio. Do not push the button unless I tell you to. If I tell you to, you push it without thinking. Understood? You put a bomb under my patio. Focus. I am trying to focus. He focused. The pantry vent is on the southeast face of the house. The rifleman is on the roof directly above it, which means he is lying flat with his feet hanging over the gutter. He cannot pivot fast. His partner in the trees is covering the front of the house because they still think we are inside. That gives us the back. We go up the back, we go in through the mudroom, we come up behind the rifleman's drill team before they finish cutting the vent. Quiet. Fast. No talking from the moment we leave the cellar. Hand signals. Do you remember hand signals? I remember hand signals. From what war, Somalia? That is 34 years ago, Ethan. I remember hand signals. God help us. Come on. They came up out of the cellar and into the yard. Ethan had not been in his own yard in 3 weeks. He thought about that as his feet moved. He thought about the fact that he had a gardener who sent him photos of the roses on Tuesdays, and that he had not read one of those emails in 4 months. Rachel moved like a shadow. She moved like a woman who had done this in 17 cities on 4 continents and had never once been the one who was found afterward. Ethan tried to move like her and could not. He moved like a man with cracked ribs and 51 years on his body, and a daughter in a pantry that was being cut open by a stranger with a drill. But he moved. They got to the mudroom door. Rachel held up one finger. He stopped. She listened. She nodded once. She opened the door. The mudroom smelled like his own life. Emily's rain boots, Lily's backpack, a jacket of Ava's draped over a hook. Ethan's brain in the middle of everything registered each of those things the way a drowning man registers the surface of water. Rachel raised her pistol and pointed it down a hallway Ethan had walked down 4,000 times, and she turned her head very slightly, and she whispered, "On me, 3 feet back. Do not look at anything except what I am pointing at." Rachel. What? If I die tonight, Ethan. If I die, you get them out. All 3 of them. Whatever it takes, promise me. She did not answer right away. Then very quietly she said, I promise. Thank you. Shut up and follow me. They moved through the hallway. The house was not the same house it had been an hour ago. It smelled like gun smoke and iodine and something electrical wiring that had burned. Somewhere toward the front, near the chandelier, Ethan could hear voices. Kane's voice, sharp, angry, giving orders in a cadence that made the hair on Ethan's neck stand up, because it was the exact cadence their father had used when Ethan was 9 years old and had left his bicycle in the driveway. Rachel pointed. Ethan looked. 2 men at the far end of the hallway, black tactical gear. They were crouched over a portable drill rig that was attached to the wall of the pantry. One was operating the drill. The other was holding an assault rifle across his knees. Neither of them was looking behind him. Rachel held up 3 fingers, then 2, then 1. She moved. She crossed 16 feet of hallway in a heartbeat and a half, and she put 2 rounds through the back of the rifleman's skull before the drill operator had time to turn around. And when the drill operator did turn around, she put 1 round through his left eye and 1 round through his chest, and she caught the drill in her left hand before it hit the floor. because the drill hitting the floor would have made a sound, and a sound would have brought Cain. Ethan caught up. The pantry door was not cut open. The drill had gone in 3 inches and stopped. Rachel tapped on the door. 3 taps. Pause. 2 taps. No answer. Her face did not change, but Ethan saw her shoulders drop a half an inch, and that half inch terrified him more than anything else that had happened in the whole night. Lily. Her voice was pitched low right against the door. Lily, sweetheart, it's Rachel. Lily, baby, tap on the door. Nothing. Lily, baby, tap. 1 tap. Very weak. Oh, thank God. Rachel breathed. Thank God, Lily, baby. I'm going to open the door. Stay back from the door. Stay all the way back against the far wall. Cover Emily's eyes. Do you hear me? 1 tap. Rachel got the bar out of its bracket. She opened the door. Ava was on the bench. Her eyes were closed. Her chest was moving. Barely. Lily was on the floor against the back wall with Emily in her lap. She was white. She was shaking. She had 1 hand on Ava's wrist and 1 hand over Emily's eyes. And Emily. Emily had her little face pressed into Lily's shoulder, and she was whispering, Rachel's coming. Rachel's coming. Rachel's coming. Rachel's coming. Over and over, Ethan Mercer, who had not cried at his own wife's funeral because he was holding a 6-year-old who would not speak and needed him not to fall apart, dropped to his knees in the doorway of the pantry and put his hands over his mouth. Emily, baby, Daddy's here too. Emily lifted her face off Lily's shoulder. She looked at him. For 1 long second, she looked at him. And then she said very clearly, Daddy, you came back. 3 words. 3 words that Ethan had been waiting for 3 years. 3 words his wife had said in her last voicemail on the afternoon she was admitted to the hospital. Honey, you came back. He could not speak. Yeah, baby, he finally whispered. Yeah, Daddy came back. Rachel came back too. Yeah. Daddy, the man is yelling. From somewhere toward the front of the house, Cain's voice louder, now closer. Report! Bravo, Charlie, report! Report, damn it! Rachel's head snapped up. We have 90 seconds. Ava, she was on Ava in a second, checking her pulse, lifting her eyelid, feeling the bandage. Her pressure dropped. The IV bag ran dry. Ethan, carry her. Carry her now. Lily, Emily, on your feet. Hold your dad's belt. Do not let go. Ethan picked up Ava. His ribs screamed. He did not hear them. Ava's head dropped against his shoulder, and she stirred just slightly, and she whispered, Daddy, I got you, baby. I love you. I love you too. I love you too. I love you too. I'm sorry I got stabbed. I'm sorry. Don't you apologize. Don't you ever apologize. Move, Rachel said, move. They moved. They did not make it to the mudroom. They got as far as the dining room, and then a voice from behind them said, Ethan. It was not Cain's voice. It was Marcus Vance. Ethan turned. Marcus was standing in the hallway, hands still locked behind his head, the way Rachel had told him to put them, because apparently Marcus had not moved in the last 15 minutes, because Marcus was still kneeling in the hallway like a man waiting for a verdict. Ethan, Marcus said. His voice was low. Ethan, they are coming through the dining room. They are coming right now. Cain sent 3 more men in through the front. He heard the drill stop. He knows. They are going to be on you in 30 seconds. Ethan froze. Marcus, Ethan, put my hands on my kid, please. Put my hands on Caitlin. Ethan, I am begging you. Whatever you do after tonight, if you make it out, if any of you make it out, call Phoenix, call the school. Tell her that her dad tried. Please. Marcus, please, Ethan. Rachel was already moving. She shoved Ethan toward the kitchen. Go. Through the mudroom. I will cover the dining room. Rachel. Go. Marcus looked at her. He looked at her for 1 long moment. And then Marcus Vance, who had disabled the motion sensors on the east wall of Ethan Mercer's house at 9:43 that evening, did something that Ethan Mercer would never be able to explain and would never stop thinking about. Marcus reached down very calmly to the body of the man Rachel had shot by the back door, and he picked up that man's rifle, and he stood up. Go with him, Walker. I got the dining room. Marcus? I said I got the dining room. You are not. Walker, I gave them my boss. I gave them my boss's daughters. I do not get to live through tonight, but I can give you 4 minutes. Go. Rachel hesitated for 1 second, one single second. Marcus. Yeah. Daniel would have been glad to see you tonight. Marcus's mouth did a thing. It was not a smile. It was the thing a mouth does when a man is about to die and has just been given the only kind of absolution he is ever going to get. Tell him hi for me, Walker. And he turned and he walked into the dining room. The rifle started firing 2 seconds after he disappeared around the corner. They got to the mudroom. Rachel got the door open. Ethan was carrying Ava and Lily was on his belt and Emily was on Lily's belt, and all three of them were behind Rachel, and Rachel had the lead pistol up, and they were 6 steps from the cellar hatch when the man came down out of the tree. He came down like a spider. He dropped out of the oak tree that Ethan's wife had planted the year Ava was born, and he landed in a combat crouch between them and the hatch, and he had his rifle up before his knees had finished absorbing the fall. Rachel saw him half a second before Ethan did. She did not shoot. She threw her pistol. She threw it underhand in a soft arc, and the man's eyes went up and tracked it by instinct, and in the half second that his eyes were on the pistol and not on her, Rachel Walker closed the gap between them. Ethan had never seen a person move like that. It was not fast, that was not the right word. It was economical. There was not a wasted movement in her entire body. She covered 8 feet of grass in 2 steps, and she came in under the barrel of the rifle, and she had her knife in her hand, and she drove it up under the man's chin and into the base of his skull before he had time to register that she was inside his range. He dropped. She caught the rifle before it hit the ground. She turned around. Her face did not have a single expression on it. Hatch, now. Ethan went. Lily was crying. Emily was not. Emily's little face was buried against Lily's neck, and she was saying, "Is Rachel okay? Is Rachel okay? Is Rachel okay?" "I'm okay, baby," Rachel said without looking at her. "I'm okay. Go. Go down." They went down. They came up in the root cellar. Rachel slammed the hatch above them. She threw a bolt. She threw a second bolt. She threw a third. She turned around and her shirt was wet with somebody else's blood, and she was breathing hard for the first time all night, and she looked at Ethan and she said, "Ava needs blood in the next 10 minutes or her heart stops." "What do you need?" "You, O negative, you told me on your intake form." "Take it. It is going to hurt." "Take it, Rachel." She took it. She had a field transfusion kit in a second duffel bag that was sitting in the corner of the cellar, because of course she did. She ran a line from his arm to his daughter's arm. She did it in under 60 seconds. Ethan sat on the floor of a root cellar under the west end of his own property with his 17-year-old daughter's head in his lap and a tube running from his elbow to hers, and he watched the color come back to her face. "Dad, I'm here, sir." "Dad, where are Lily and Emily?" "They're here. They're right here. Look. Look, Ava. Look at them." Ava turned her head and she saw her sisters and she smiled. It was a tiny smile. It was not even a full smile. But Ethan had not seen her smile at him in about a year and a half, not really smile, and something inside him that was already broken, broke again. "Hi, Ava," Emily said. Ava's eyes filled. "Hi, Em. I'm talking now." "I know. Rachel taught me." "I know, honey." Daddy cried. Ava looked up at Ethan, her father, the man who had missed her last 3 birthdays. "Did you, Dad?" Ethan did not trust his voice, so he just nodded. "Okay, Dad." Just that. "Okay, Dad." And Ethan Mercer, who had negotiated in 5 languages and owned property in 11 countries, and had once been named Entrepreneur of the Year by a magazine his mother had saved a copy of in her kitchen drawer, until the day she died, Ethan Mercer put his face into his oldest daughter's hair, and he wept. Above them, somewhere in the house, somewhere on the property, a man's voice came through a speaker. Cane, megaphone, on the lawn. "Ethan, Ethan, I know you are still on the property. My man on the east gate reports no vehicles have left. I am willing to extend our conversation. I am willing to be reasonable. Ethan, come out. Come out with the children, and I will let them live. That is a real offer, Ethan. That is a serious offer. You have 2 minutes." Rachel was checking the drip rate on the transfusion line. Her hands were steady again. The moment of breathing hard was gone like it had never happened. "He is lying," she said. "I know. He is going to kill them the moment they share in the open. I know. Ethan, listen to me. There is one more thing in this cellar that I have not told you about." What? A rifle. Okay? A very specific rifle. Rachel. It is my husband's rifle. It is the rifle that Cain took off of Daniel's body in Kandahar 4 years ago. I took it back from him the night I walked into his compound in Yemen and pretended to die. Rachel. It is in the cabinet behind you. Ethan turned. There was a cabinet, a plain wooden cabinet mounted to the cellar wall. He had never seen it before. He had never been in this cellar. He turned back to her. Rachel, you want me to? I want you to hold the transfusion line. I want you to hold your daughter. I want you to stay here with the 3 girls. I want you to live. Rachel, no. Ethan. No, you are not Rachel. We are not. We do this together. We do it together or we do not do it. Ethan. I have 3 girls up there in a cellar because of you. I have a 6-year-old who speaks because of you. I have a 17-year-old who is breathing because of you. I am not sending you out of this cellar alone with a dead man's rifle. I will not. Ethan, you do not know him like I do. Then tell me. Ethan, tell me Rachel. Rachel closed her eyes. She closed her eyes for 1 second, and when she opened them, they were wet, and Ethan Mercer realized that he had never in 6 months seen Rachel Walker look like a person before. Cain Mercer killed 9 people in my unit in one night, she said. My husband was the last one. Your brother cut Daniel's wedding ring off his finger while he was still alive, Ethan. He sent it to me in a padded envelope with a note that said, sorry for your loss. 4 years ago, I have spent 4 years of my life getting close enough to kill him. I came to your house because of him. I stayed because of your daughters. And now he is on your lawn with a megaphone and I have 1 shot. 1. From the rifle he took off my husband. And if I do not take it tonight, I will never get another chance in my life. A pause. Let me take the shot, Ethan. Ethan looked at her. Outside Cain's voice on the megaphone. 1 minute, little brother. Ethan looked down at Ava and then at Lily and Emily curled together on a blanket on the cellar floor. Then he looked back at Rachel. Take the shot, he said. But I am spotting for you. I'm at Ethan. I am not negotiating this. Girls, listen to me. Listen to Daddy. You stay in this cellar. You hold each other. Lily, you hold Emily. Emily, you hold Ava's hand. Ava, you stay awake. You stay awake. That is the only thing you have to do. Rachel and Daddy are going back up for 1 more minute. Dad, Ava's voice was weak. Dad, don't. 1 more minute, baby, I promise. 1 more minute. Dad, I love you. I love you. Rachel, get the rifle. Rachel got the rifle. Outside the megaphone. 30 seconds, Ethan. Rachel loaded the rifle. Her hands did not shake. She looked at Ethan. Ready. Ready. And somewhere above them in the dark, Cain Mercer waited on his brother's front lawn with 9 trained men around him, holding a megaphone in his left hand and the detonator to the pantry in his right. And he did not know. He did not know that the woman he had mailed a wedding ring to 4 years ago was climbing up through a hatch in the root cellar with her husband's rifle and that his baby brother, the one he had written off 32 years ago, was climbing up right behind her. They came up through the hatch together. Rachel went first with the rifle across her back. Ethan came up behind her with the pistol in his right hand and a pair of night vision binoculars Rachel had thrown at his chest on the way out of the cellar. His ribs had stopped hurting. He did not know if that was because the adrenaline had finally caught up with the damage or because he had stopped caring about his own body and he did not take the time to figure out which. Above them, Cain's voice on the megaphone. 20 seconds, little brother. I do not make these offers twice. Rachel went flat on her stomach behind a low hedge. She slid the rifle off her back. She put her eye to the scope. She did not breathe. Spotter, she said quietly. Tell me what I see. Ethan put the binoculars to his eyes. He saw his brother. Cain was standing on the front lawn about 60 yards out in the dead zone between the driveway and the rose garden. He had a megaphone in one hand as Ethan had expected, and something else in the other hand. A small black rectangle, a phone, a remote. There were 9 men around him, 6 standing in a loose perimeter, 3 behind him, hands on weapons, scanning the tree line. 9 men, Ethan whispered. 6 perimeter, 3 on his shoulder. He's holding a remote. Which hand? Right. Distance. 62 yards. Wind is nothing. You have a clean line on his head. You do not have a clean line on the remote. I know. Rachel, if you take the headshot, he drops the remote. If he drops the remote, the signal goes. I know. Rachel, I know Ethan. He lowered the binoculars. She was lying in the dirt with her husband's rifle in her hands, and her face was doing the thing it had done in the kitchen hours ago when she had first heard Kane's voice. It was going slack. It was going empty. It was going to a place Ethan could not follow. Rachel, what? If we do not get the remote before the bullet gets him, the charge goes into the pantry. The girls are not in the pantry. He does not know that. The charge is set to breach the pantry wall. The charge is not in the pantry. The charge is on the outside wall. If it goes, the wall comes down into the hallway, not into the pantry. I moved it, Ethan, 2 weekends ago. I moved it to the wrong side so that if he ever made it this far and tried to use it, it would blow into the hallway and not into the children. I moved it, Ethan. Trust me. Ethan looked up at her. In the dark, with her husband's rifle in her hands and his dead brother's voice rolling across his front lawn, through a megaphone, Ethan Mercer looked at Rachel Walker, and he decided finally completely to trust her. Take the shot. She did not take the shot, not yet. She breathed out, and she waited, and Kane lifted the megaphone one more time, and in the half-second that his hand was at his mouth, in the half-second that the remote in his right hand drifted away from his body, Rachel Walker squeezed the trigger. The sound of the rifle was not loud. It was a crack, a small flat crack. The crack of a rifle that had been built for exactly this distance and exactly this night and exactly this man. Kane Mercer's head went back. Just a little, just enough, and he fell. He did not fall the way men fall in movies. He fell the way men fall when the part of them that stands up has been switched off. He went sideways like a chair tipping over, and he hit the lawn, and he did not move. The remote came out of his hand. It hit the grass. It did not go off. Rachel was already up off her stomach moving, and she had the rifle on the perimeter men before any of them had finished turning toward where the shot had come from. She dropped 2 of them in the first 3 seconds. Ethan was shooting too. He was shooting without thinking the way he had shot in the kitchen, and somewhere in the back of his head, a voice that sounded like his father was saying, two-handed grip, breathe out, squeeze, and a 3rd perimeter man went down and a 4th, and then the remaining 5 broke. They broke and they ran. They did not run toward Kane. They ran toward their vehicles. They ran the way men run when the man who was paying them is face down in the grass and the contract is void. 2 of them made it to the SUVs, 3 did not. Rachel did not chase the 2. She let them go. She came down off the hedge in a low walk that was almost a run with the rifle still up, and Ethan was right behind her, and they crossed the lawn to where Kane Mercer was lying on his back in the grass with his eyes open and his mouth open, and a small neat hole in the center of his forehead. Rachel stopped 6 feet from the body. She did not kneel down. She did not bend over. She did not say anything. She just looked at him. Ethan stood next to her, and he looked at his brother, and he tried to feel something. He did not feel anything. That was, he thought, the strangest part of all of it. He had thought all the way up the ladder and across the lawn that when he saw Kane dead, he would feel some kind of thing, grief, relief, rage, anything. And he felt nothing. He felt the way a man feels when a long phone call has finally ended. He felt the silence. Is he? He started. Yes, Rachel said. You're sure? I am sure, Ethan. Okay. She lowered the rifle. She stood there for another few seconds, and then very quietly she said, Daniel, that was for you, baby. That was for you. Ethan did not say anything. He understood that the next 10 seconds did not belong to him, and he gave them to her. And when they were over, she turned her head and looked at him and said, Ava, Mova, now Shamag. They ran back to the cellar. They went down through the hatch, and Rachel checked the transfusion line before she did anything else. And Ethan was already lifting Ava into his arms, and Lily was crying, and Emily was saying, Rachel came back. Rachel came back. Rachel came back, and somewhere in the distance, Ethan could hear a helicopter coming fast, coming low. Rachel heard it too. She tilted her head. She listened. She nodded once. That is ours, she said. That is my people. Your people. The number Lily had, the satellite phone, those people. They are coming now. How did they? Because I called them 20 minutes ago from the tunnel while you were arguing with me. Ethan stared at her. You told me they were 11 minutes out. Ethan, sweetheart. She put her hand on his arm. Briefly, the first time he thought she had ever touched him without a specific tactical purpose. I do not tell you everything. That is going to have to be something you accept about me. If we are going to have any version of anything after tonight, come on, let's get your daughter to a bird. Your people, Rachel. Later, Ethan. Who? She looked at him. In the dim light of the root cellar with her husband's rifle slung across her back and his 17-year-old daughter's blood on her sleeve, she looked at him and she said, a private recovery unit, retired operators, mostly women, mostly widows. We take the jobs the government cannot take and we do not ask for the paperwork. Are you satisfied? Mostly widows. Mostly. You are the widow. Yes. You run them. Ethan, sweetheart, later. The helicopter is landing on your lawn right now, and your daughter has been bleeding for 6 hours. The helicopter took Ava. It took Lily and Emily too, and Rachel and Ethan, and a woman Ethan did not know who wore no insignia and who met them at the hatch with an IV bag in one hand and a pediatric medical kit in the other. She did not introduce herself. She said ma'am to Rachel once, and she said nothing else the entire flight. And when they landed on the roof of Northwestern Memorial at 4:17 in the morning, she handed off Ava to a trauma team that had apparently been waiting for them since 3:30. It was not the kind of arrival Ethan was used to. There were no cameras. There were no reporters. There were 2 doctors who already knew Ava's blood type and 2 nurses who already had her name on a wristband and a hospital administrator who did not ask a single question about the 37 stitches that had already been put in his daughter's side. Ethan sat in a waiting room with Lily asleep on one shoulder and Emily asleep on the other, and he watched Rachel stand at the window with a phone to her ear, talking to somebody in a voice he could not hear, and he realized for the first time that he had no idea what this woman was capable of or who she answered to. She came over. She sat down across from him. Ava is going to make it. She is out of surgery. They are keeping her asleep until morning. The wound was clean, no infection, the stitches held. Your daughter is a very, very tough kid, Ethan. Yes, she is. Lily and Emily are going to sleep for about 12 hours and then they are going to cry for about 3 days. That is normal. Do not try to stop it. Do not try to explain it. Okay, a pause. Your brother's operation is going to come apart in the next 72 hours. The people he worked with in Mexico are going to find out he is dead, and they are going to assume somebody inside his organization did it, and they are going to spend the next 6 months killing each other. You are going to be left alone. Your port in Veracruz is going to become somebody else's problem. My organization is going to make sure that any paperwork that connects your name to anything criminal disappears before a federal prosecutor has time to get curious. Rachel, it is already in motion, Ethan. You do not owe me for it. Consider it a housewarming gift. A housewarming gift. You are going to need a new house, I think. He laughed. It was a small laugh. It surprised him that he had one in him. Yeah, I think I might. Another pause. Rachel. Yes. Marcus. Her face did not change. Marcus did not make it, Ethan. I know. He held the dining room for 6 minutes. He killed 2 of the men who were coming for us. I know. Phoenix? I'm calling Phoenix in the morning. I already did. He looked up. What? I called Caitlin's mother at 4:15. I told her that Marcus died protecting 3 children in Chicago. I told her that his last words were about his daughter. I told her that the trust fund he had been building for Caitlin for the last decade would be paid out in full by Tuesday. That last part will be true by Tuesday. I am making it true. You, Ethan, I know what it is to call a 10-year-old and tell her that her father is not coming home. I was not going to let Marcus's little girl hear it from a stranger at a precinct. Ethan did not know what to do with his face. He put his hand over his eyes. Why are you like this? He said, very quietly. Why are you who raised you, Rachel? Who made you? Who taught you to do any of this? A lot of people, Ethan. Tell me one of them. A pause. My mother. Your mother. My mother was a pediatric nurse in Fort Bragg for 31 years. She took care of the children of dead soldiers. She used to say there was always somebody in a uniform who needed somebody not in a uniform to do the hard part. She died 8 months before Daniel did. I think about her every day. Rachel. Yes. I do not want to be a fortress. She looked at him. What? I built an empire to protect my family. You saw the house. You saw what I built. I built fences and cameras and a head of security and safe rooms and an army of lawyers. And my wife died of cancer in a bed that cost $12,000 a night. And my 6-year-old stopped talking at the funeral, and I have not been home for any of it. I built a fortress. I did not raise a family. I raised 3 kids in the shadow of a fortress, and I thought that was the same thing. Her eyes were on his face, steady. It is not the same thing, and she said, I know it is not. I know that now. Rachel, Ethan, stay. She did not answer right away. She looked out the window at a Chicago sky that was just starting to turn from black to the color of dishwater, and she was quiet for a long time, and then she said, Ethan, I cannot stay. Rachel, I am hunted, Ethan. I have spent 4 years being hunted. Your brother was the biggest of the people hunting me, but he was not the only one. There are men in 6 countries who know my name and know my face and who have been paid a great deal of money to find me. If I stay in your life, they find your daughters. Rachel, you have been in my life for 6 months. They did not find them. Because I was careful. Then be careful. Ethan, Rachel, please listen to me. You told Emily 6 weeks ago that you would keep her safe. You told her that. She believed you. She is 6 years old. You do not get to walk into a child's life and teach her how to speak again and walk back out of it because there is somebody in Belgrade with a picture of your face. Rachel's hand resting on the arm of the waiting room chair tightened, just a little. That is not fair, Ethan. I know. That is not fair. I know, Rachel. I know. I am being unfair. I am being unfair because I have to be. Because I will not sit here and watch you walk out of that hospital door and become another woman my children remember saying goodbye to. She closed her eyes for a long time, and when she opened them, there was water in them. Ethan had never seen water in Rachel Walker's eyes. Ethan, yes, you do not know what you are asking. I know exactly what I am asking. You are asking me to stop. Yes, I am asking you to stop. I have not stopped since Daniel died. I know. I do not know how to stop, Ethan. You learn. A pause. Nobody teaches you, she said softly. Nobody just makes you. No, you learn. I had to learn. I am still learning. My wife, Catherine, she used to say a person is not a project. A person is a practice. You do not finish. You just keep practicing. You just keep showing up. Rachel, show up for them, show up for me. Just stay. She was quiet, a very long time. And then she said very quietly, Lily needs braces. What? Lily, your middle one? Her bottom teeth are crowding. She needs braces. Her dentist told her 3 months ago and she did not tell you because she did not want to bother you. And Ava is applying to Stanford Early Action, which she did tell you, but the essay she is writing is about her mother, and she has been stuck on the second paragraph for 5 weeks, and she is afraid to ask you to read it because she thinks it will make you sad. Rachel. And Emily has a stuffed bear named Mr. Bumper. She has had him since she was 2. She lost him at the funeral, and she has never asked for a new one because she does not want to forget him. I bought her a new one last week. It is in my room. I was going to give it to her for Christmas. Ethan's face was wet. He did not remember when it had started. Rachel. I know the names of every one of your daughter's teachers, she said. I know which one of them is allergic to peanuts. I know that Lily is afraid of thunderstorms, and Emily is afraid of dogs, and Ava is afraid of failing. I know that you have a standing 6 a.m. meeting with a man named Richard who is going to try to push you out of your own company in the next year, and I know that you do not see it coming. I know everything, Ethan. I have made it my job to know. Why? Because I needed to know what I was protecting. And at some point, Ethan, sometime in the last 6 weeks when Emily started to talk, or maybe before that, I stopped knowing it because I needed to know it. I just knew it because they were mine. in the only way they were ever going to be mine. She stopped. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Fast, like she was angry at the tears. So yes, she said, yes, I will stay, not forever, not as their mother. Nobody will ever be their mother again, and I will not try. But I will stay. Until Emily is old enough to sleep through a thunderstorm without looking for me. Until Lily has braces and loses them and forgives you for all the birthdays. Until Ava writes the essay. Until you stop flinching when you hear a door open. Jbalnosto. Ethan could not speak. He reached across the waiting room and he took her hand and she led him. And they sat there in a hospital waiting room at 4:41 in the morning with 2 sleeping children and a third one upstairs under anesthesia. And they did not say anything else for a long time. When Ava woke up late in the afternoon of the following day, the first thing she saw was her father in a chair by the bed. The second thing she saw was Rachel in a chair next to him. The third thing she saw was Lily and Emily curled up asleep together on a cot that a nurse had brought in. Ava opened her mouth. She tried to speak and she coughed, and Rachel was already on her with a cup of ice chips. Slow, small pieces. Rachel, I'm here. Am I? You are fine. You are better than fine. You are going to be running a mile by Thanksgiving. Slow, one more chip. Ava took the chip. She looked at her father. Dad, I'm here, baby. Did we win? Ethan's throat closed. He swallowed. He nodded. Yeah, honey, we won. Are we safe? Yeah, we're safe. Is Rachel staying? Ethan looked at Rachel. Rachel looked at Ava. Yes, baby, Rachel said. I'm staying. Good, good, Ava whispered. Good. She closed her eyes. On the cot, Emily stirred. She sat up. She rubbed her eyes. She looked at her oldest sister in the bed and at her father in the chair and at Rachel standing next to him with the cup of ice chips. And Emily said clear out loud in a voice that Ethan would carry with him for the rest of his natural life, "Is this what a family is?" Ethan reached for her. He lifted her off the cot. He sat her in his lap. He kissed the top of her head and he held her against his chest and he said in a voice that did not shake because he had decided finally not to let it, "Yes, baby, this is what a family is." And that was how Ethan Mercer, 51 years old widower's father of 3, brother of a man who had been buried twice in one lifetime, learned the only lesson worth learning. He had spent 22 years building a fortress to keep his family safe. He had hired security teams and installed alarm systems and bought a house on 9 acres with a wall around the perimeter. And in the end, his wall had failed him, and his security team had sold him out, and his own brother had walked up the staircase of his own home with a rifle. What had saved his children was not the wall. What had saved his children was a woman in a cardigan who had read paperback mysteries on her lunch break and made pot roast on Sundays, and who had looked from the outside like nothing at all. What had saved his children was a person, not a fortress, a person. Ethan Mercer sat in a hospital room in Chicago with his youngest daughter on his lap and his oldest daughter asleep in a bed, and his middle daughter curled up on a cot, and across the room a woman who had walked into his life 6 months earlier under a name that was almost certainly not her real one, stood holding a cup of ice chips for his child. He looked at her and she looked back at him, and neither of them said anything because nothing needed to be said. The fortress was gone. The family was not. And Ethan Mercer, for the first time in 22 years, was home.